the dark horse, a fighter who has the skills and the talent to become a top contender or even a title challenger, and dare I say, a future champion. But the people and the fans don't give him the respect they deserve and don't deliver on the hype. These are the UFC dark horses. Tell me that wasn't a fire intro, okay? But that's exactly what we're looking at today. We're going to be looking at the dark horse in every single division. Now, I like doing this. This is one of my favorite things to do because when I know people before they kind of blow up and act like they don't know nobody, I feel a lot smarter because I feel like I understand the sport better than other people. Like when Joshua Van was on the come up, I remember when he was fighting, I believe it was Kevin Borjas on the Yuri versus Alex Pereira one card. I was watching this guy in my room and I was like, ooh, this guy is my new favorite. And I love this guy ever since that moment, since I laid eyes upon him. I fell in love with him. Okay. No, in all seriousness, no. I loved watching Joshua Van before anybody else did. I felt like I was one of the first Joshua Van heads in the sport before anybody else was, and I take pride in being a fan of somebody before everybody else hops on the hype train. And then once they get popular, I kind of hop off the hype train because then it's a casual's favorite, and I hate being in the same category as a casual. So today, I'm going to help you guys. I'm going to help you guys find your new favorite fighter. I'm going to help you guys find these guys who are on the come up. Or I'm going to, give some respect to some of these guys because a lot of these guys don't get the respect they deserve. These guys are contenders. These guys are early on in their career, and the fans just really aren't backing these guys. They're fun. They're exciting. They're good. What it comes down to is, are they good? Can they become a top contender? Do I see them fighting for a title at some point? These are all these guys, okay? So let's start off with the Flyweight division, and I'm going to go with Rafael Esteban. Now, a lot of people don't know about Rafael Esteban. A lot of people are not talking about Rafael Esteban, but I believe he has a fight against Alan Nascimento on the Steve Garcia versus David Onama card in the Apex, and he's 14-0. He has 4 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission, 1 first-round finish. And if you look at his fight history, I mean, he's beaten Charles Johnson. Do we know who Charles Johnson is? The guy who, I don't want to say fraud check these guys, but he beat Loner Kavanaugh. He beat Joshua Van, the aforementioned Joshua Van. And Rafael Esteban's style is very interesting, very fun to watch. If you don't know who he is, basically his style is judo jiu-jitsu. Okay, he is very good. His boxing is good. It's good. It's not bad. It's not great. It's not excellent. It's good. His kicks are good. He trains with the same guys that Jose Aldo trained with, that team down in Brazil. Very good judo. He's very good at sniping your back, sniping the back take. I think he's very similar to like a Hamza Chimaev, Islam Makhachev, a guy who's going to take you down, has multiple ways of taking you down. Not only can he shoot single legs, but he can get into the clinch and he can trip you. He can set up all these things. And the moment he gets you down, he's looking for offense. He's not looking to take you down and hold you down and just kind of, elbow here and there or punch, elbow, shoulder strike from the ground. He's not doing that. He's looking to take your back. He's looking to get into mount. He's looking to submit you. He's looking for that rear naked. He's jumping your back. Even if he's a little bit high, he's going to jump your back. And he's really fun to watch. The only problem I've seen when watching his career, I believe it was the Jesus Aguilar fight. In the Jesus Aguilar fight, he slowed down in that 3rd round. First and second, he dominated Jesus Aguilar, taking the back, throwing up submissions, dominating these guys, which is very hard to do at Flyweight because these guys are so well-rounded. But he's dominating these guys on the ground. He dominated Mike Johnson on the ground. He's looked really good. He's fighting Alan Nascimento, and that's a huge test. That's a huge test for Rafael Esteban because Alan Nascimento has great grappling, and Rafael Esteban has great grappling himself. So I think this is a good test for Rafael Esteban. See how good his grappling is compared to another grappler. I feel like this is a huge test for him. And if he beats Nascimento, and if he out-grapples Nascimento, this guy is a problem. I guarantee you he is a huge problem for the division. His striking, suspect, okay? And the fact that if he ever gets into a 5-round fight, he's in for a long night. But we'll see how he does. He reminds me of a Chimaev, not as not as like blitzkrieg style jujitsu and wrestling, where he's going to take you down and he's going to literally, you know, he's not that type of guy, but he's very offensive with his takedowns, and I love to see him fight. He's very fun to fight. Really a apex demon. This guy's an apex demon, and we need to get him in a real venue. So that's 125. We're going up to 135. Alexandre Topuria, 3 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission. Five, every single one of his finishes is a first round finish, and he only has 1 decision, and that's against Colby Thicknesse, where he was pretty much dominating him. He had Colby Thicknesse kind of, you know, scared from the very start. I thought Colby Thicknesse was going to cause some issues for Alexandre Topuria, and honestly, I think Alexandre Topuria is, I don't want to say he's better than Ilya, but he's definitely close to Ilya, which is a very dangerous. Some people, you know, look at him and say he's dangerous, but I don't see too many people talking about him at 135. You know, a lot of people are talking about Peyton Tabbitt. A lot of people are talking about Malcolm Wellmaker, but Alexandre Topuria is the real deal at 135. His power at 135 is off the charts. He has a fight against Azmat Almakan, I believe his name, right? Azmat? I don't know. He's from Kazakhstan. And this is going to be a huge test. How does he deal with the grappling? But his stance is low. He's so efficient with his shots. He picks his shots. He's literally like Ilya Topuria. Like, he's exact. Imagine Ilya Topuria. That's Alexandre Topuria. I don't think there's much needed to be said about him, except for that he's exactly like Ilya Topuria, just at 135. Cuts a lot of weight, though. He does cut a lot of weight, and nobody's going to be able to outpower him at 135. Nobody has the power of Alexandre Topuria at 135. I just want to see how he does against a grappler, and we're going to see that. We are going to see how he does against a grappler. But this guy, you guys need to pay attention to. He definitely does have some eyes, especially being Ilya's brother, but I think he needs more eyes. Okay, now we go up to 145, where I got my boy, Steve Garcia, 6-fight win streak, 14 wins by knockout, and 7 first-round finishes, coming off a win over Calvin Kattar. Before that, he absolutely destroyed Cal Nelson. It wasn't looking too great earlier on against Cal Nelson. You know, he got taken down, but then he reversed the position and literally destroyed Cal Nelson. And then same with Costa against Maurice Guizel-Acosta. Dude, rewatch that fight if you haven't. Maurice Guizel-Acosta was kind of just holding on to the back, putting him in the clinch, couldn't take down Steve Garcia. And then that second round, Steve Garcia just literally brutalized Maurice Guizel-Acosta. Had Maurice Guizel-Acosta trying to grapple the referee because he was so lost, so bloodied. The amount of blood he lost was crazy that night, and even the amount of concussive damage Steve Garcia did to him was absolutely absurd. And Steve Garcia, why is he so dangerous? Why should we pay attention to him? Number 1, trains with the Winklejohn. Trains with the Winklejohn gym down in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I believe, right? John Jones's former gym or current gym, right? Down in Jackson Wink MMA. And this guy has cardio for days. He's great takedown defense. And he is super awkward, pressure heavy with a slight bit of power, offensive boxing style. He's always throwing something out there. You know, there's never a moment where it's like nothing happening. You see that sometimes where guys kind of just, you know, they're fainting. They think they're in a chess match, but really they're just kind of in this nothing fight, you know, where they're fainting, they're bouncing, they're in and out. No. Steve Garcia is a guy who literally does not do that. He looks and then he's in there, he's jabbing, he's doing, he's constantly throwing output and he has cardio for days, and that is going to be great in a 5-round fight. I think he can cause great problems for Volk, because Volk's not going to be able to out cardio guys. The Volk sometimes does that, where he's able to out cardio his opponents, but against Steve Garcia, he's not going to be able to do that. Steve Garcia is long, tall, powerful, huge problem for guys at the top of the division. Great takedown defense, and nobody, this is why he's a dark horse, nobody wants to fight him in the top top rankings at 145. That's why he's fighting David Onama. This guy beat Calvin Kattar, literally destroyed Calvin Kattar, and he's fighting David Onama. Seriously, David Onama in an Apex main event. People are going to try to avoid Steve Garcia for as long as they can, but at some point he is going to be inevitable. He will be Thanos, and he beats Volk. Okay, I'm telling you right now, he beats Volk. This guy is a champion. He beats Volk. The only guy at 145 I think could beat him is like a Movzar. I think stylistically Movzar beats him, and then maybe guys who have like KO power, but like, who's gonna do that? Josh Emmett's not gonna beat him. Okay, even Yusuf Zalal is not gonna be able to beat Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia would literally melt Yusuf Zalal and destroy Yusuf Zalal. Even against Movzar, it's like Movzar, if it's a 3-round fight, Movzar is probably going to be able to subdue Steve Garcia. But in a 5-round fight, Steve Garcia beats Movzar Evloev. He will melt Movzar Evloev. And, he beat Calvin Kattar. Before that, he's finishing guys. Finished Chase Hooper. Finishes all these guys. Huge 6-fight win streak. He's not getting the respect he deserves. People are not chanting his names like they should be. And then we move up to 155. Grant Dawson. Another guy that literally, he's just inside the rankings, I believe. Nobody wants to fight this guy. This guy is the backpacks of backpacks. Okay, people call Aljamain Sterling a backpack. This guy is the real deal backpack. Okay, this is the real man's backpack against Fahea. Remember when Fahea absolutely destroyed Rezbeki and Rezbeki destroyed Orablai? Okay, so if we follow the chain of command, okay, so we have Orablai got beat by Rezbeki got beat by Faheda got beat by Dawson, and Fahea has great grappling, and Dawson literally subdued his grappling and backpacked him. This guy has an unnatural ability to backpack. He beat Damir Ismagulov. Remember when Damir Ismagulov was like the real freaking deal? Remember that, guys? Back in like early 2023, 2022. Damir Ismagulov. He had a fluke loss to Bobby Green. That's what we're calling it. A fluke loss to Bobby Green, where Bobby Green KO'd him with the jab. I was training with Grant Dawson at the time, and Grant Dawson had staph infection. And the day before his fight with Bobby Green, he actually got KO'd in the gym very bad at ATT, American Top Team. I represent. And he got fluke KO'd by Bobby Green. But, which, let's be honest, guys, this is like the worst part in the timeline, because Bobby Green was supposed to be a Grant Dawson victim. He ended up beating Grant Dawson, and because he beat Grant Dawson, he became a ranked fighter, and from there, we ended up getting Paddy Pimblett in the rankings, which is terrible. Paddy Pimblett should not have gotten in the rankings, I'm gonna be honest, but Grant Dawson, he can backpack literally anybody, and at 155, there are some guys who can beat him, but I'm telling you guys right now, he has better grappling than Gamrot. Better grappling than Charles Oliveira. Now, stylistically, some guys will be a problem for Grant Dawson. Charles Oliveira, like I said, I think he has better grappling. But on the feet, Charles Oliveira, you know what? No. After seeing Charles Oliveira versus Gamrot, I'm going Grant Dawson, because Charles Oliveira was getting too hit. He was getting hit too much for my liking. And Grant Dawson would be able to out-grapple Charles Oliveira. And he would probably land on the feet against Charles Oliveira. So I think, realistically, at the top of the rankings, who's going to be able to beat Grant Dawson? I don't know. Let me think. Who we got? We got Ilya the champion. Ilya probably beats Grant Dawson. But that's an interesting fight. Because he will grapple and he will do a good job grappling. Arman is an interesting fight. Oliveira, interesting. Max Holloway beats Grant Dawson. Gaethje loses to Grant Dawson. I think Grant Dawson is a problem for a lot of the division. He's been looking good lately, and nobody wants to fight him. He's been super inactive lately. He's 5 wins by knockout, 13 wins by submission, 7 first-round finishes. 23-2 is an insane record, I think, especially considering one of them was a fluke loss to Bobby Green. So realistically, he's 23-1, and this guy's a dark horse. Nobody wants to fight him. But that's 155. Let's go up to 170, where I got my boy Rinat Fakhretdinov. 12 wins by knockout, 6 wins by submission, 14 first-round finishes. He's 24-1. Are we serious? 24-1? This is absurd. Let's take a look at who he's beaten, right? He beat Andreas Gustafsson. I made money on this fight. I knew he would beat Andreas Gustafsson because Andreas Gustafsson is ass. He finished Andreas Gustafsson. Beat Carlos Leal. A little bit of a robbery, but let's be honest, Carlos Leal was on the juice. He beat Nicholas Dalby, and, Nicholas Dalby has cardio for days. He had a draw with Dos Santos. He destroyed Kevin Lee and destroyed Brian Battle. But the thing about Rinat, yes, sometimes he does swing with his chin up in the air, but his striking's good enough to set up his takedowns. He has great control, great takedowns, great ground and pound. And his striking isn't the best, but it's good enough to be a threat where you have to worry about it. And by the time you're worrying about it, he's taking you down and he's beating you up. I mean, you don't get to 24-1 with like without having skills. This guy's a real problem. Now, if we're looking how he does against the ranked fighters, I don't know. I would love to see him fight like an Ian Gary or a Gilbert Burns. I think Gilbert Burns would run away from this fight. I think a lot of guys would want to run away from this fight because against Renat, he's just extremely well-rounded and there's no specific area where you can beat him. Like, you can chin him on the feet, but I feel like his IQ is good enough to where if he knows you have the potential of chinning him on the feet, he's going to take you down. And nobody wants to fight him. I think a lot of these guys that I've been talking about just kind of have the same issue of like, nobody really wants to fight him. They're all just kind of outside the rankings or just barely inside the rankings. And nobody inside the rankings want to fight him because they know they have A, no name value, and B, super dangerous. You know, they're not a Paddy Pimblett where it's like you can beat a Paddy Pimblett, and if you were to beat him, you get huge name value. A Renat Fakhretdinov, you think anybody's talking about Renat? So we need to talk about these guys so that, you know, at least people want to fight them because they have some level of name value. Now, at 185, I think I got the best. I think this is like one of my best picks for a dark horse. We got my boy Marco Tulio. 10 fight win streak. 10 wins by knockout, 7 first round finishes. 50% of his wins are first round finishes. And this guy, I don't know if he's scheduled. I don't believe so. But, you know, he destroyed Tresean Gore. He destroyed Ihor Potieria. And go watch the Tresean Gore fight. He got dropped, but then he started to lock in. And just by watching him, this guy hits super hard. His nasty kicks. I think the best attribute he has is his power and his cardio. His power is unreal. He trains with Charles Oliveira and them guys, so you know his grappling's top tier. But his power and his combos, I think, are absolute finesse. His combos where he goes, you know, he goes to the head, boom, with the hands, and then he goes kick to the body, and the kick to the body is the loudest thing you've ever heard. Rewatch the Tresean Gore fight. His body kick is absolutely disgusting. Like, he would throw it, and it made such a loud sound where the whole arena was literally saying, "Oh, unbelievable!" Like, you heard the whole arena kind of just react like, "Oh shit!" He's deadly. He is going to be a problem for the 185 division. You know, Joe Pyfer's getting hype. Who else is getting hype? I feel like there's a couple other guys who are getting hype. Marco Tulio destroys a lot of 185ers. He destroys Marvin Vettori. He destroys Michel Pereira. He destroys a Roman Dolidze. He's a big problem because he has so rock solid takedown defense, and his hands are so deadly. His kicks are so deadly. He throws spinning body kicks, and it's just precise. This guy is a mix of almost imagine a Charles Oliveira and Alex Pereira combined. Imagine that fighting at 185. He's big for the division, super powerful. He can KO anybody, and he has some pretty solid heart and determination. Even when he's losing fights, or even when he's getting walked down by a guy like Tresean Gore, he is able to, you know, not break, not wilt, and power through and to get the finish. And at 205, this is hard because 205 is a shit division. I'm going to be honest, it's a shit division. So I'm going with my boy Asmat Mirzakhanov. He doesn't get the respect he deserves. And he's small for the division. He's fighting at 205, but realistically, he is a 170 pounder. But he moves like a 155er. He's bouncing on his feet. He's light. And his distance control and his eyes is kind of what stands out to me. His vision in the striking stands out to me the best. He's from the Caucasus region, obviously, but he's a striker. He doesn't grapple. He's pretty good grappling, but his striking is his main thing. He has a win over Alonzo Menifield, and he knocked out Alonzo Menifield, and Alonzo Menifield has beaten prospects. He's beaten Omar Sy. He's beaten a lot of prospects. He's turned down a lot of guys. So that Alonzo Menifield win has aged pretty well. Now, the Dustin Jacoby win, it's aged okay. It's an okay win. But he's good. He's good vision. He sees punches coming. His angles are very good in the striking. And I think he's going to be a problem for a lot of guys. But once he gets to the top of the division, the guys are just too athletic and too powerful, too big. Like Yuri, Even like a Johnny Walker might be a little bit of a hard fight for him. He could probably chin Johnny Walker, but it's a hard fight for him. An Ankalaev. A Khalil is an interesting fight. I think Khalil versus Asmat Murzakanov is a very interesting fight. Striking fight. And, you know, you see the Muay Thai of Khalil Roundtree versus the kickboxing finesse of Asmat Murzakanov. I would love to see that fight. Maybe even Asmat Murzakanov versus like Jamal Hill. I love Jamal Hill. I don't want to see him lose, but it would be a very interesting fight. And then obviously at heavyweight, this is the worst division out of them all. And I'm going with my boy Walter Walker as the dark horse of heavyweight. He's good. You know, he made his debut and he lost to Lukas Bresky, and then he went on a 3-fight winning streak where he's heel hooking guys. And he's taking advantage of an obvious opportunity. And Walter Walker's, the opportunity I'm talking about, he's taking advantage of is the fact that these heavyweights are shit and they don't train. And they especially don't train grappling because they don't need it. They're just so big. They don't train grappling, and he's heel hooking guys. Now, can he go far? Definitely. The heavyweight division is absolutely garbage. He can literally, you have cants, you have journeymen in the rankings at heavyweight. He can definitely get up to a top 5, but at the top 5, guys like Gane, guys like Pavlovich, guys like Aspinall, guys like Volkov will beat him. But he definitely is a problem. Let me know what you guys think. These are the dark horses. Rate the intro. And also, don't forget to like, comment, sub, and rate the outro, because the outro is better than the intro. Peace, boys. It's been your boy, Dagamate. Signing out. Peace.
Y pues ya, creo que es todo, ¿vale? Show feet. Eso es muy raro. Why do you ask to show my feet? This is very weird, but yeah, I'm gonna do it because it's pretty weird. Okay, so here's my feet.